we got trapped in Canada.
Yes, we did.
And the reason why we got trapped in Canada is because the airline that we booked went bankrupt as soon as we showed up to the airport. Can you believe that?
The chances of that.
You always think to yourself, because you're always remembering the TV news broadcasts of travelers stuck in another country or airline delays entire days worth of flights as travelers don't know what to do. And you think that can't happen to you until it does. Now, the airline that we were traveling with is called Lynx Air. Tell us a little about it, Gila. You did research.
So Lynx Air is equivalent to Spirit Airlines, U.S. Spirit Airlines. So they're supposed to be like an affordable airline, Canadian airline.
They're new. I don't even. Are they a Canadian airline?
Yeah, they are.
Or they fly in Canada?
No, they're Canadian.
Kind of newish. Well, they're not newish anymore.
Actually, they were established in 2022, and our ticket one way from Canada to the U.S. to Las Vegas was about $800 for both of us. And when we got to the airline,
and it was a direct flight. It's tough to get direct flights from the place we were going in Canada to Vegas. So that was even a plus. That's why we booked it.
Yeah.
But to go back to what happened is we show up to the airport and no one in the airport, none of the staff knew anything that was going on. We show up there and we don't see the Lynx Air anywhere on the signs or anywhere near, like when you had those check-in computers and they'll show all of the types of airlines, and we didn't see any of it there. So we go over to the information desk and we're like, hey, where does Lynx Air board? Like, what's going on? And then they write on a piece of paper, call this number, and it's the Lynx Air number.
The funny thing about it is that they've been operating in Canada for 2 years, and when we ask the information desk, they're acting like as if they've never even heard of this airline.
So they give us the number, we call the number, and they put us on hold and immediately hangs up. And we're like, what's going on here? Why is this hanging up? So then the guy gives us another number to call, and he's like, they open at 8, and at this point it's like 7:30. So we're waiting around, we call this other number.
And we are supposed to be boarding at 8:30.
Yeah, and this other number has nothing to do with anything. They give us this number, and I call them, and I ask them. They're like, oh, this is like a complaint line. You can file a complaint. I'm like, what the hell does that do me? That doesn't get me on the plane. So I hung up on them, and then we're walking around the airport, and I see freaking cameras. And I'm like, news reporter, cameras, that's gotta be us.
And then we see the Lynx sign. So the information desk did know that they had their own station, Lynx Airline station.
And we go over, and I see the news like filming, and I see no staff at the Lynx Air area.
No. You're mistaken.
I'm gonna tell
there
them.
was one.
I know there was one.
There was one guy who didn't get the memo that everyone walked out. So there's this one guy who's like standing there.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. There's nobody here. There's nobody here. And he didn't get the memo. So the airport had no clue what the hell was going on. They should know about something like that.
So the airplane has been fueled. There's been about 20 people who got to the other side, passed through luggage, check-in. So there's 20 people on the other side. The airplane's there. The pilot and the flight attendants are on the other side. And the rest of us,
So I asked the news reporter, I'm like, what happened? Because nobody in this place knows what's going on. You think that the airport staff would be like, oh, crap, one of our airlines went out of business, and all the staff walked out on the job because they didn't think they were getting paid. You think that the information desk would know something like this is going on 40 feet away from them, but they don't. So that's what happened. The entire ground crew walked off the job. People who did check their luggage in, their luggage was just missing somewhere in the airport because there was nobody there to retrieve their luggage. And, we had to book another flight at an exorbitant rate. We had to wait 14 hours in the airport.
We probably spent like 5 times the amount of what it was worth.
We spent a lot of money to get home.
Oh, that's right, because then the next flight was like 12 hours later, so I booked a hotel for the day since we got to the airport so early.
Yeah. And that was crazy. So they walked, and then we actually ran into the flight crew at our hotel. And I asked them, like, what's going on, guys? Like, what happened to the plane? This was like hours later. They were depressed. They did not look happy. They're like, yeah, we were supposed to be on that flight to Vegas with you. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, well, the grounds crew they assumed or they thought that they weren't going to get paid because the company went bankrupt, so they all walked off. I was like, what about you guys? They're like, yeah, we weren't concerned about getting paid. The flight crew was ready to work. And you got to also keep in mind, the flight crew's extra pissed off too because they got places to be as well. They need to get home. They're on a path and a trajectory that's taking them back to where they have to go. If they're going to be on the job.
And what's so crazy about this is we booked our ticket about a month ago, right? And so they had issued out, we're going bankrupt, and that on Monday the 26th, which was the following Monday, that they're going to seize all activity. However, because when they found out that news, the ground
they said
crew,
that they were going to still.
They were still going to.
We're going to still
honor
work
the
till
flights.
Monday.
Yeah,
They're like we'll still work through the weekend, is what they were saying.
Yeah,
but it was just that ground crew in that airport. They just decided to walk off the job halfway through, and Lynx Air is not a busy airline. They probably only have like 1 or 2 flights going out of that airport throughout the whole entire day.
Yeah, and then WestJet, which is apparently like their sister company, was offering 50% off flights for the Lynx for people who are affected by Lynx. But when I went on WestJet, their next flight to the U.S. was like 2 weeks away. So it was so funny because as we were looking at the flights for Air Canada to book another flight the same day, it was going up like by minute. Because so many people were booking. All of our flight booked.
Part of me kind of understands why they would walk off, but at the same exact time, you got to like understand what type of job you have. It's like you're holding up and you're inconveniencing other people's travel immensely just because you think you may not get paid.
I bet it was one guy who said that, and then the whole crew was like, all right.
Oh, that means we're not getting paid. They're going bankrupt. I mean, when a company goes bankrupt, a company like this, I'm assuming that their staff charges for those additional 2 days that they would stay open are not going to be too heavy. And at worst case scenario, the court of the bankruptcy will probably issue them to pay their staff.
Yeah, so what they did is they actually filed for creditor protection, so no one could go after their creditors couldn't go after their assets, but they were still going to get paid up until Monday.
Yeah, so I feel like there's a big responsibility now if you work an airline type of job. I mean, you got to understand that it's a flight going from Canada to the USA.
I'm just grateful that we were able to...
We had to spend an extra $2,000 just to get home.
Exactly, but I'm grateful that we were able to afford that and not like have it stress us out so much. But imagine those people who booked an $800 flight and then now they have to dish out $2,000.
I think we were probably one of the only people on that plane going home, though.
No,
everybody goes to Vegas to party.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah. So.
That's what
because
happened.
it was really odd because I didn't see anyone else. There were a couple other people, but no one. Like there wasn't a lot of people waiting, which was kind of odd.
Well, you got to think about the people who already went in.
Okay, the 20
people. And then you got to think about the people who probably found out what was going on. They saw it was canceled and they just left.
Yeah.
I mean, because you had these people live there. We were probably the only people that didn't really live there.
Yeah.
In Canada on that plane. It's funny actually, because we have to fly back home to Vegas all the time, and always on those flights, there's never Vegas locals on those flights. It's always people ready to party. Yeah. And I've been on some crazy flights with people bumping music, cheering the whole way. We're in Vegas. We're gonna party.
It's a good time.
Yeah. So that's what happened. Any final closing thoughts?
Well, how'd you like the Canada trip? That was our first time in Canada.
Canada trip was fun.
Took him snowboarding for the first time, and
I fell down the whole
he was
mountain.
so bad.
I got concussion. I was seeing Tweety birds.
I couldn't be patient with you because I couldn't believe you were that bad at snowboarding.
She was yelling at me.
I was like, get the up, get up, because I'm not that athletic. I'm okay, and I was able to snowboard. You couldn't. Every time you got up, you were like helicoptering down.
I don't want to hear it. We'll talk about that another time.
All right. Well, Canada was a great time, and now, just FYI, if you ever fly out of the country, do not use a cheap airline. Just go with the major airline because you don't want
keep
that
yourself
to happen.
protected. We learned our lesson.
Learn our lesson whenever you fly out of the country. Just use a major airline.